Just one second, I get my cards. I forgot them. I'm just getting my cards. All right. That would help if I had those. So this is going to be a real quick update on Selena Gomez and on Doria and Meghan. Doria was visiting baby Archie. Okay, so the first person I'm going to read about is Selena Gomez. She's a Cancer. I believe her birthday is July 22nd. We're going to be going into Cancer season towards the end of June, so that'll be exciting. Selena is lifting a burden or trying to lift a long-held burden, 10 of Wands. So she's had a lot of stuff on her plate, a lot of things she's gone through, understandably, especially having lupus, etc. All the Justin drama that's always ongoing with the stupid tabloids, constantly talking about them as if they're still together. She's kind of taking a Princess of Swords approach to her life right now. It's like cautious action. It's like inquisitive, looking at her life, like, what can I do next? Let me just look at my life as a journey, not a destination type of thing. Speaking her truth with kindness, cautious, but taking risks. So it's like cautious risk, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like trying to do new things, but also remembering, you know, she has to be a little bit more careful than others, especially when it comes to her health, to take care of herself. So let me just do a general outlook for, okay, so middle of the situation is the moon. That's Selena. That's Cancer, especially female Cancer, it indicates. That mirror's in the way. Crowning the situation is Two of Pentacles. She's trying to balance things. Foundation of the situation is Justice. Again, trying to come to the truth of something to balance her life. Past situation, King of Cups. That's Justin. In the past, it's like trying to shake her past off of her. Six of Cups, trying to relive that childhood innocence or a view of life that is more innocent. Again, in the past, the wheel, that was the karmic wheel she was going on with the King of Cups with Justin. And in the future, she is a little concerned for her future, but she's trying to be optimistic. Okay, so she walked away in the past, and in the future, she's trying to go to a new beginning. I mean, this all makes sense with what I keep saying consistently about her. I see her album as being well received. Three of Cups is the bottom of the deck. Middle of the deck is Death card, release number 13. This means that releasing things from the past, shaking off the old. It's going to be good for her album-wise, career-wise, that she's gotten rid of this loose, dead weight energy of Justin Bieber. And I don't mean literally, I mean, you know, like negative energy. Releasing that energy is going to be very good for her. She's going to see a celebration in her future. Three of Cups. Because she walked away, Five of Swords, from the karmic cycle, the wheel of Justin Bieber, King of Summer, King of Cups. And in her present, Selena, the moon, female Cancer, she has a foundation of Justice. She's reviewing the details of her life carefully to have a positive outcome for herself, to have justice for herself, crowning her as a balancing act of Two of Pentacles, trying to balance things in her life, probably her health with work. I don't think she's thinking of love right now. I don't have any love cards. Six of Cups, she's going to try to enjoy herself in the near future again, you know, get back to that childlike innocence that all of us need when we go through healing periods, to remain more optimistic. She does still have worries in the back of her mind, though, not, you know, the Nine of Swords, but she is willing to go on this new beginning. I think a lot of her worrying, actually, even though she's very beautiful, and she's famous and she can have, you know, any guy she wants, I do think she has fears of not being able to walk down the path that she has with somebody. Like she wants to, but then these are the same card, the Dreamer and the Path. This is my Major Arcana deck. They're both the Fool card in the original tarot deck. It's like she has this afraid because it's reversed here, but it's upright here. These don't do reversals, so it's upright here. But then she has this fear. And I think that the reason is because even though she can have any guy she wants, with a serious long-term ailment or illness like lupus, I really strongly feel, and I felt this for a long time, she has this fear inside, like who's going to be able to deal with that long-term. And I'm not saying that somebody won't. I'm saying this is a feeling she has, that I feel she has. even though she's famous, even though she's kind of like America's sweetheart, you know, like kind of how Jennifer Aniston used to be. She's like America's sweetheart now for us. You know, nobody really dislikes her. They all love her. Everybody is very empathic to her having the lupus. But I think that, and this is her, this has nothing to do with how people view her. This is within her that I feel like she sometimes has fears and doubts surrounding her love life because of that, because of the illness that she does have. And it makes her hesitate to think who's going to walk down, who's going to go forward with me, flight reversed, who's going to walk down the path reversed. And it has to do with love. I don't think that, I do think she, nobody can really understand unless they have a lifelong illness like that, like how that must feel to like have those doubts and fears. So nobody can really understand where that's coming from for her. However, I would say according to card readings I've done before, as long as she's able to accept the ending death of the previous relationship fully with Justin Bieber, the karmic relationship, she will be able to find somebody to fall in love with, but it's just not right now. Everything is career. And I see very positive new beginnings with her career coming in because she's letting go of that karmic energy of Justin that was dragging her down. She's going to have more balance in her life, justice. So that's what I'm seeing. So I'm going to go on now really quickly to Doria and Meghan and what is going on with that. Let me just look at the videos right now and see who's on here. Hi, Nicole, Eccentricity, Anne, Cold Stone, Cynthia. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming. So let me go to Doria and Meghan. So Doria just recently visited or is still visiting Meghan and baby Archie. I saw a couple of headlines saying that she already went home, but I didn't see any photographs of her going home. So I don't like to take headlines as fact and build a whole reading around that because, as we often find out in these tabloids, they're not always true. So I don't really read the actual tabloids and gear my readings around it like some readers do. I'd rather just read a title of something and then just go off of my intuition. I don't want to read the contents of something and say, oh, Doria went home, or, oh, it's like this with them because the tabloid says it and my cards say it too. You know, no, I'm not going to do it like that. But I do know she did visit the baby. I mean, that's common sense as well because it's her daughter's only child, her only child, having probably an only child or one of two maybe, because Meghan is 37, so I'm assuming it's probably going to be one of like two at the most. But anyways, let's just see how it went. How is Doria feeling? Like her daughter now has a child, so her placement is really solidified within that family. How is Doria feeling right now about Archie and Meghan? Doria is a Virgo, so I resonate with her. I'm a Virgo, and Doria also has I believe it's either a social work master's or a mental health master's. I also have a psychology background. I think there's actually a lot of Virgos who are Scorpios and Virgos who are therapists, because I actually talked about this with one of my clients I had before who was a Scorpio, and unfortunately the client had a severe mental health concern where they couldn't work as a therapist or pursue school further, but they were very intelligent. And we talked a lot about signs and stuff. Yes, I used to talk about astrology with some of my therapy clients at other jobs. The one that I'm doing right now, I don't so much anymore, but some of my other therapy jobs, I did that. And we talked and we said, you know, Scorpios and Virgos a lot of times are the therapists of the zodiac, because we kind of like have a similar intuition. However, Scorpio, it's more primal and instinctual, and Virgo, it's like an intellectual analyzation of it, but it's it's strange. And I have so many Scorpios in my family, and actually a couple of my best friends are Scorpios. So I relate to them, but it's like we repel each other sometimes too. It's kind of like opposite, but not. Like the intuition is there for both signs, but then the way we do things is opposite. So anyways, to make a long story short, Scorpio and Virgo are often in the therapeutic field. And I think that's cool that Doria is a Virgo and is also has a master's level mental health background. I think she's licensed though. Let's see. So middle of the situation is life experience. Okay. So Doria and Meghan, how are they doing? All right, let's see. Crowning the situation is the Chariot. Foundation of the situation is the Five of Cups. Doria and Meghan. Behind the situation is the Star. Doria and Meghan. In front of the situation is Princess of Cups. Doria and Meghan. Behind the situation is release. Doria and Meghan. Ten of Wands is in front of the situation. Behind is strength. In front is Five of Pentacles. Okay. So what's at the bottom of the deck is the King of Cups. Why this King of Cups? In every single reading I do about the royals, for whatever reason, Prince William comes up in every single one of them. Middle of the situation is the Hermit. This could refer to Doria. It could refer to Harry. I think this refers to Doria because directly underneath the middle of the situation, which is the Hermit, is the Nine of Pentacles. This is somebody who's a hard worker, very focused on the details of work, very successfully employed and good at what they do. And it's, again, that female earth sign energy, female earth sign, not male, because there's a woman here, and the Nine of Pentacles often shows a woman. This card in every deck usually shows this woman here. So I think this is confirming it's Doria, okay? But at the bottom of the deck is, it's kind of funny, it's William at the bottom of the deck. And I could read the King of Cups as something else. Maybe actually, this could be her father. Now I'm thinking, this could be her father. Yeah, it is her father. And I'll tell you why. Because directly beneath the King of Cups is the Justice card, right? And I'm flipping these around because you're not supposed to do reversals on this deck. This is a non-reversal deck. That's why the picture can't be flipped upside down on the back of the cards. Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine intended these to only be upright. So I'm going to read them the way the authors intended these to be read. King of Cups, Justice underneath that. I think this is the father trying to reach out. Can we balance things again, right? Doria is at the middle of the situation, and she's just, you know, she's a hardworking woman. She's intelligent, Nine of Pentacles. She's focused on her work, but she's focused on her daughter. And at the middle of the situation is life experience. This is letting go, right, of the past, walking away, and then charging ahead towards your future, the Chariot, the ambition that Meghan had, I feel like. But there's a loss at the foundation of this Five of Cups. She's still feeling the loss. I think they discussed the father. Of course they did. I mean, hello. Doria was with Thomas. I think that when she last saw her daughter, they were discussing Thomas. And she sees her daughter as having to have gotten rid of this. You know, her daughter wanted to be a star. You know, she's more famous than she ever was when she was an actress. But I think the star represents this pursuit in Hollywood, right? Meghan, the pursuit in Hollywood. Wait, Meghan, okay. The pursuit in Hollywood, and then releasing that. Death card, number 13, release. Releasing that pursuit. In the past, she sees that her daughter did that. But in the future, I think she fears her having a 10 of Swords burden, being left out in the cold, Five of Pentacles. And she wants to offer emotional support to her daughter. Princess of Cups is the Page of Cups. This is somebody who's supportive emotionally and wants to be there for somebody else. If you're reading about two people in the reading, this is somebody who's very overburdened but needs to release the burden, and it's left out in the cold. This is in the future. I don't know if this is definitely going to happen in the future, or if it's, I think more so what it is because I'm asking Doria in relation to Meghan. I think this is like her concern for her daughter still, and she just wants to be there for her because she sees that potentially happening, is what I feel. And I felt like this before when I did that other reading as well that I did on Doria. I did one other on Doria. So I did one on Doria's astrology because I was excited that she was a Virgo. Then I did one on her actual tarot reading, and this is the third video I did involving her. So she sees, I mean, she knows her daughter. She raised her daughter. So she intuitively knows, right? The witch is intuition. She knows that her daughter is a manifester. The sun, right? Leo, Aries. She knows she's a manifester with the magician. She knows she's a very ambitious young lady. Or woman, we could say, because I'm in my 30s. 30s isn't really young, but it's not old. It's like a weird age range. It's not young. It's not middle age. It's not old. I was talking about this with my mother last week, actually. She sees her as somebody who wants to maintain balance, right? And manifest optimism with the sun. She sees that intuitively in her daughter, but I think she fears her daughter being left out in the cold, Five of Pentacles, having overburdened, too much burden. She took too much on her plate, Ten of Swords, and she wants to just offer her emotional support for her because she sees Meghan's ambition with the Chariot going ahead, going ahead, going ahead, right? And Doria herself is very hardworking, Nine of Pentacles. So she knows how her daughter is. And I think she sees, and not even just about the work. I mean, they get pampered. They're royalty. It's not so like they're not coal miners or something. I'm not trying to be mean, but I mean, they're not working. I'm trying to think of like the hardest job in America, kind of like this is what I'm relating in my head. The royal family isn't like working like as a coal miner, right? Like their job is really not hard. They're not even working in like retail would probably be harder than that. They're pampered. They have wait staff 24/7, right? But I think her fears for her daughter is not so much that the actual work itself is hard. It's the stress of being in the public eye like this with the work, with the demands, with having to produce, you know, now she produced the heir. Of course, she has nannies, but it's more so an emotional exhaustion and an emotional burden and weight that she sees her daughter carrying, and especially with not having the father there and the loss, the Five of Cups of the father. And she has concerns for her. Yeah, she has concerns for her. So she's still just, I mean, she's just trying to be there for her. They did talk about the dad. That's all I'm getting. What did they say about the dad? It's weird how coal miner just pops into my head because I was trying to think of what's the hardest job that would be so dead opposite to the royal family, right? If you were to imagine like Prince Philip doing a job like that, never in your dreams in your life would you ever, because these are people who used to wear gloves to shake other people's hands. Like the Queen Mother did that with Elizabeth until they stopped doing that. And it was partially Diana who introduced more of that tactile behavior. So if you can imagine the archetype of the royal family, remember I had that archetype video? The archetype of like the glove wearing royals is compared to like, you know, I don't know, a coal miner from South Carolina or something, or Virginia. My dad's from down south. You could see the southerner coming out in me on that side of me. But anyways, that's where I was going with that. And when you do cards, sometimes random things come out of your mouth and you go through your head sometimes. But they're very hard. You know, she was raised on a basis of hard work watching her mother. But I don't think it's the actual physical strenuousness of the work that Doria is concerned about. It's the emotional burden that I feel like she's concerned about. And getting in over her head is what I'm hearing. So what did they say about Thomas? Okay. That represents the father, the emperor. The tree originally is the emperor card. The goddess, the tree, the star. Interesting. Don't you think, honey, that you could maybe forgive him? They did discuss this because this is a new beginning, but it's a very slow new beginning to happen. The goddess, he is your father. The tree card originally is the emperor. I changed it, but it's still this masculine energy of rooting, of the sturdy, strong, you know, stable figure of the father. Well, I don't know if he was always a stable figure, but, you know, there is hope still, or maybe the baby. They were discussing the baby in relation to him. A possible new beginning with the circle. The moon, he is a Cancer. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but he did cross in conversation is what I'm getting. And she's concerned about her daughter. She wants to be there for her. It's the emotional burden of this and what she took on that she's concerned about for her. Oh, Cynthia, that's funny that Kate comes from coal miners. I don't know. I was just going through my head as an archetype of somebody who probably does like the most brutal work, like in contrast to the royals. What would that be? That's what came to my mind. Nicole Z, you're Scorpio heavily in your chart. Yeah, my friend is and my mother is. And they're both very interested in psychology, but they didn't want to be therapists. Scorpios and Virgos a lot of times are in mental health fields or social work. Eccentricity, I don't know. Maybe I was picking up on that. I don't know. But sometimes like, hi, Luann. But sometimes when I think of like things to relate to things in my mind, they come from, it's very bizarre because when you're reading cards, it kind of just like comes out. You're not even like logically thinking. So that's why when I tell people, it's like, I can't really teach people how to read cards because you either can or you can't. As far as what the cards mean, I can do classes on the meanings, like the Two of Swords means you're trapped between two impossible situations. You feel like you can't move. You're at a stalemate, right? I could teach the meaning of the card, but I can't teach how to intuitively interpret it in the moment. That's all like, but I think because intuition comes out funny like that sometimes, I think it's a mixture of maybe I was picking up on Kate's family that they come from. If they do, if that is true, that they originally come from coal miners. I know her family is very wealthy and they're upper class. So maybe back in the day they came from coal miners. I don't know if that's true. Allegedly, if they did. I don't know. It could be that. Also a mixture of the fact that my father is a Southerner and that's a popular, very difficult blue collar job down in the South to think of archetypally in my mind quickly because, you know, I do have that background, you know, on half of my family. So it could be that as well. I don't know. Intuition is really strange. It just kind of, when you're using intuition, it just comes out weird. William doesn't have any hair, Cynthia. Does he? I mean, he has some down here. Poor William. Him and my older brother both don't have any hair anymore. And they kind of look alike. It's like, it's really odd. Like they really do. People, you know, what's funny? I never was attracted to, out of the two brothers, I thought Harry was cuter when I was younger. You know, everybody, especially in my generation and a little bit younger, really liked the two brothers because we were around the same age when they were growing up. Because Harry's like around my age. But anyways, I always liked Harry because William looked like my brother. That would be gross, you know? And I remember everybody used to say that my brother, they thought he was British because my older brother not only looks like William, but he's very weird. Like he acts British. My sister-in-law is Eastern European, and even she's a European. She's from Europe. Even she thought that he was British. That's how British he acts. It's very bizarre. He's like a strange, like he looks more like a brother to William than Harry does. It's really weird. Yeah, Harry's losing his hair too, Callie. I think that guys get that from the mother's side. So maybe somebody on Diana's side, they had men who had thinning hair. But anyways, I got off on a tangent. She's concerned for her daughter still. She wants to be there for her. They discuss the father, and she sees Meghan. I think she really feels deep down Meghan took too much. Meghan took on more than she thinks her daughter's going to be able to handle, and she fears that. But I don't know if she's always vocalizing it to her. That's what I got. And Selena is really focused on her career. She's opening up the gateway to more and more good things because she is slowly fully releasing Justin. And I don't mean slowly, like she still wants to be with him and contact him. But when people have an on again, off again relationship like that, that's pretty toxic, especially with those male water signs. I know when male Pisces and Cancers are crazy. And I've said this before on the channel. When they're not stable, they're really not stable. They're like all up and down all over the place. It's like all the bad qualities of a woman, but in a man. So anyways, if she had to deal with that karmic partnership with Justin for so long, it's a lot to release. I'm not saying Selena wants to get back together with Justin now, but it's like still releasing out of her aura and energy. And as she does that, she's going to find herself improving her life more and more. And as a negative, the only thing I would say is that she has that fear, I think, of somebody fully accepting her in love because of the ongoing illness that she has. I don't think that she has any lack of confidence when it comes to career at all, but I do think in love she's gotten, especially because she had a relationship with somebody who was very karmic with her. So that's what I feel with Selena and Doria and Meghan. Yeah, Luann, I did too years ago. I had a toxic karmic thing. It was years ago, though. It's out of my energy now, but I know how those are because of that. A lot of people who, I did a video on this before, a lot of people who are empaths, they go through at least one relationship where they're with a narcissist, a sociopath, or somebody who has a kind of strange personality disorder traits type of person, whether it's borderline, narcissist, sociopath. However, like I said before, I don't really classify borderlines as the same as narcissist and sociopath because they do have the empathy that narcissists and sociopaths are highly lacking. So I don't think they should even be grouped together. But anyway, usually people who are empaths have been with people who have traits of narcissists or sociopaths, at the very least. And the reason is because they're very attracted to empathic traits. And if the person is like a empath who hasn't formed their boundaries properly yet, or for whatever reason, when they go through those stages of like the love bombing and all of that stuff, they end up getting sucked into the web of, you know, narcissists and sociopaths. So it's not uncommon to be in toxic karmic relationships when you're an empathic person. And I would assume that most people who watch this channel have some level of empath abilities or energies, especially if you're drawn to this channel. I'm not really so sure. Like maybe I have, Callie, maybe I have a definition in my mind that's different than others, and everybody can have their own definition. It's like when I talked about twin flames, I don't think twin flames are supposed to be this wonderful, amazing relationship. I think there are relationships that are meant to end because twin flames are often actually not complementary to one another. They repel each other after a while. My definition also of empath is a little different. I don't see Harry as being an empath because he's had like allegedly like sex orgies and all this other stuff. And like, what else did he do? He did some crazy stuff like with people. And I'm not judgmental according to like what people's sexual preferences are or partners are or whatever, but I don't consider that like empath behavior because an empath, I don't know if they'd want to involve themselves with so many different partners at once and like whatever he allegedly did. I think he was with allegedly 5 girls at once or something like that before he met Meghan, Harry, and he was naked in a Vegas hotel room. Wasn't that like Harry, right? didn't he do that? I mean, it was on the news. So I don't know. I don't consider him really an empath. Also too with other stuff, how he allegedly cheated on people. And not that empaths are all perfect little angels, but it tends to be something that they don't usually do that much. And if they do, maybe like one time and they learn from that and don't do it again. But he had like a pattern. Allegedly, it wasn't fact, but it was on the news and it was like a pattern of that behavior. He could have a lot of empathy, but I don't know if he'd be considered an empath actually, like where that's his life calling and purpose. I think Princess Diana definitely was an empath. Yeah, and the Nazi uniform thing, yeah, that's I can't see an empath doing something like that, wearing a Nazi uniform. But I do, Callie, in the sense that you said empathic, he could have empathic traits as far as things he's interested in because of his mother that he actually really does feel strongly about. Yeah, he was naked holding it. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I didn't even really know about that story. I knew about the one with the cheating allegations and all the Nazi uniform allegations. But the thing about being naked in the hotel room with the 5 girls, I actually looked that article up because somebody told me about that. A guy that I know told me about that. Of course, guys remember that stuff. Told me about that because he saw my channel. I showed him my channel and he was like, oh yeah, Harry, he was with 5 girls naked in a hotel room before he met Meghan. It's like, oh, that's the one thing you remember, of course. But anyways, that's how I know about it, Callie. I don't know. Maybe he is. I don't know. Yeah, eccentricity, exactly. Like an empath wouldn't want to be around multiple people like that all the time, generally, in my definition, and wouldn't want to pick up that kind of energy in like a sex orgy or anything either. um, so anyways, that's it. I'm not gonna, I did the 2 readings. I try to keep them short. So I'll probably get off of here. If you guys have any questions, you can ask before I sign off. Callie, I think it allegedly was like 5 girls and him or something. I mean, that counts as an orgy, right? If it's more than a certain number of people. There was allegedly more than 2 other girls. Callie. I'll ask real quick. Let's see. Anna Banana. Is Harry out of the country? Is he out of the UK right now? He's feeling overwhelmed. He's planning to go somewhere. Chariot is movement ahead. 7 of Cups, again, overwhelmed. This is overwhelmed twice. 10 of Wands, 7 of Cups. This is overwhelmed by choices. This is actually overwhelmed by burdens, but then still celebrating the birth of his child, 3 of Cups. I'm not really getting that he's out of the country. I'm getting that he's making plans to leave, though, or plans maybe to go do something having to do with the stuff, you know, the charity stuff that they do. Chariot involves work and going forward. Let me just see. Yeah, he's really preparing. There's some kind of new beginning in the works. Magician, rebirth, new beginning of him and Meghan going forward and leaving something behind. 13 is death card, the ending of something going forward. So maybe it's about a move, possibly that move to Africa that they were supposed to do. Possibly. I try not to read those tabloids. What I do now is I try to just look at if I want to, because you have to have some basis to read off of something. Otherwise, all the readings are just going to say update on the royals, update on the royals. So like what I do is I'll read the one line of the title of the tabloid, or if, well, People or something, whatever article it's in. I don't mean like the Mirror or something, like something on People or whatever. If it's one line, I'll read that, like the title, but I don't want to read the contents of it because I feel like that's going to skew the readings in a direction of like what the article actually said. So anyways, I get that. I don't get that he's gone, but I get that they're having plans to go somewhere together, having to do with the charity work, etc. Plans moving ahead. What are we going to do over the summer? Birds of a feather fly together. That's true. Yeah, Paul Christian. I said that before about a couple that I mutually know with some other people. And the female in the couple seemed kind of controlling, and everybody was complaining about it. Like, why does she act like this? Why is she this? Why is she that? And eventually, I talked to somebody and I came to the conclusion and said, well, he probably likes it to some extent, or probably feels comfortable with it or enjoys it. Maybe it turns him on to some extent because it works for them. They wouldn't be together for 10 plus years if it wasn't the case. The people that I know in a couple where the woman's controlling. So you're right. Birds of a feather, birds of a feather, Paul Christian, they fly together, they flock together. And Harry picked Meghan for a reason. It works for him, whatever their dynamic is. I don't think Bobby has been getting any female attention lately. I'm sorry for you, Bobby. I blocked you, but if you ever happen to, under a different handle, watch this video, or whoever else may be watching and feel this way, you're not alone. There are many unfortunate individuals as yourself who are not getting enough female attention and comfort at night. And so you have to resort to such bizarre behavior on the internet. There's a group, I believe it's called MGTOW, Men Go Their Own Way. I think you might be part of that group. So you can go into that group and complain with the rest of them. It might suit you better. Prince Philip, I can I can do a reading on Prince Philip. MGTOW, they're crazy. I don't want to attract them here. So I don't want to even say that group of that name. If you guys know what I'm talking about, they are very sad. If you've ever seen that group on the internet, it's an unfortunate phenomenon. Prince Philip is like 500 years old. Callie, you're funny. Yeah, I can do one on Prince Philip if you want me to. Not now, but I'll do one another night. I'm starting to get drained. Probably because I had to come up with a clever enough insult for an underhanded insult for my lovely little visitor. Okay, so no, they can't. That's why they have their sad little group. I think he's like a MGTOW, and if he's not, he should join. He'd feel right at home with them. Yeah, we haven't heard much from Philip since the car accident. That is true. He's like a relic. Like when people are that old and they're still alive, I actually heard something from some source before, I forgot what it was, but it said that they're basically like half dead. They're almost like half passed on. And that makes a lot of sense. It's almost like their soul's not all totally here. Especially if they get dementia. I don't think he has dementia though. He's very sharp, you could tell. Because he's really old. Not all the time though. It's usually though when people get dementia in really, really, really old age, spiritually, they're almost like half not here anymore. But I don't think that's the case with him. He's a very sharp man. He always has been. You could tell his eyes, like you could tell. Callie. He was in Jesus's yearbook. He is very old. Cynthia, yeah, it is cute. My grandparents are like that too. They look at each other like when they were still dating, courting. Yeah. Well, because no matter what people went through in their marriages, I've noticed this, no matter how up and down it was, like especially for that generation, if they stay married, they are still very like respect, they have like a respect for each other because they took marriage seriously like a true partnership. Like it's not anymore, but that was something from that generation. I noticed, especially people from that generation. I think it's called the silent generation, right? The World War II generation. They're called the silent generation. Those people who are like in their 90s now, they have a mutual respect for each other. They really took their marriage seriously. Yeah, my grandparents are both still alive. I think that's going to happen with them close together, Kelly. Yeah, that's true. Probably with Philip and Elizabeth too. Nacho? What nickname Nacho? Sonny, who's Nacho? That's his nickname is Nacho? Wait, who is Nacho? Hi, Lexi. Astrology books, Nicole Z. I don't really know. It's weird. Like, you know what? I've read so many different books. It's really hard for me to even name names of books off the top of my head because what I do is I go to the library and Barnes and Noble. Like I'm a Virgo and I'm just weird. I like to just randomly go to Barnes and Noble in the library and just pull out random books and read different pages out of each one, and they're all compiled together in my head. So I don't necessarily like read the books from beginning to end. I like skim through multiple different sources and combine them together. So there are some books that I actually purchased and read the full book. So, like, for instance, this is sitting on my table, Spiritual Growth. It's not an astrology book, but it's like a Law of Attraction, Being Your Higher Self book by Sanaya Roman. That's a good book. Um, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting by Lynn Grabhorn. That's another Law of Attraction book. It's a good book. I use that when I did counseling. I don't use it right now at my counseling job, but when I was doing substance abuse counseling, I used it. Um, Let me just see if I can find something. The Undiscovered Self by Carl Jung is good. I read that whole book. It's short. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl is good. I've read that whole book too. It's short. That's more how I based my therapeutic beliefs, though, when I do counseling off of that. It's not really so much with card. Well, it forms my view of card reading, but it's not really why I didn't read it specifically, though, for astrology. It just kind of shaped my worldview, Viktor Frankl and Carl Jung. Oh, here's one. So this one does stand out to me because I actually did almost read this whole book, and that's a big thing for me to actually read the whole book or to buy it because, like I said, I skim through books. I don't read them cover to cover, and then I combine the skimming in my head to make a conglomeration of things. But the Astrology for the Soul is a good one by Jan Spiller. It's on Amazon for $14.99. So the moon sign, I'll cover briefly before I sign off of here. I do astrology charts. If you guys ever want your own, they're on the website. I rearranged the website so it's easier to navigate. The home page has all the reading information. Then there's certain tabs like life coaching tab, and then there's a tab for spells and incantations. So they're all separate in different sections. But the tarot readings are all on the front home page when you go on the website. I'm offering them. I'm also doing, again, starting June 1st until June 22nd, the $90 sale for the 5 questions plus the astrology chart, or 7 questions only. Normally that price is $100. I'm doing that in celebration of the solstice on on June 21st. There is the summer solstice, or Litha, which is a Wiccan holiday I celebrate. It just celebrates the official beginning of summer and that half of the year. Beltane is really the half of the year marker. The solstice is saying it's summer. It's time to reap the rewards of what we planned, basically, and the birth of the earth. You know, the earth is bursting with energy. So from June 1st to June 22nd, I'm offering that. I wanted to say, moon signs. Okay, so moon signs is very important to women specifically, because the moon sign is who you really are, right? So of course you're going to act like your sun sign. Everybody acts like your sun sign, but women are more unique than men because, and it doesn't to say men are simpletons. Men are very highly intelligent. There's a lot of brilliant men in the world. I'm not discrediting men, but I'm saying women are much more difficult to figure out than men, and we know this. And that is because partially the woman acts more like the moon sign, but this is only once you get to know her very well. So, for example, I am a Virgo, so I act like a Virgo most of the time. Once you get to know me very well, especially if you see my place, you see the kind of things I'm passionate about, I'm really more like an Aquarius, because that is my moon. Aquarius is often passionate about conspiracies, astrology, occult stuff, spirituality, learning about that, helping others. Virgo is too, but Aquarius doesn't want to be as hands-on with it. They want to share the information and knowledge they know and step back from the crowd. That's really more how I am in the truth of who I am. So that's to explain to you the difference between the moon and the sun. Whereas the sun, Virgo, okay, if I was a sun in Virgo, as opposed to a moon in Virgo, my sun is showing you that, yes, I like things the way I like them. I'm particular. I'm very knowledgeable about certain topics, not all topics, but certain ones I'm obsessed with. That's a very Virgo trait. And I'm very detailed about it. That's Virgo. But when you get to know me, I'm a little weird, and the things I'm into are very out there. That's the Aquarius moon. So women basically, and that's why I'm giving myself as an example, they act like the sun at first, but then when you really get to know them on an intimate level, they're the moon. Men, on the other hand, they act like the sun, that's it. And the moon is their relationship with their mother and what they look for in a wife. The moon is not a part of a man's personality unless he is high sensitivity and feminine energy. So especially some gay men, not all gay men, because there are very masculine gay men, but some gay men might act more like their moon. But generally, men act like the sun. And then the North Node or life path is important for every gender, because that's not your personality. That's saying where you're going in life. What is the theme of your life? What is the direction of your life? So when I do an astrology chart, I describe all of that detail by detail, how it applies to your life. And I offer that on the site. You can check it out. If you want to look at it yourself, you can. But it's just something to say since you guys asked. But that's the explanation of what the moon is as opposed to the sun. So if you are a Gemini, but you have a moon in Virgo, you may act like a Gemini, but when people really get to know you, you're a Virgo. There's actually a couple readers, I believe, who have a Gemini with a moon in Virgo. That's kind of funny that I mentioned that. I think one of them might be Elisa and the other one might be Quietest Revolution. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that Quietest has a moon in Virgo and she's a Gemini. I remember readers like that because I have Gemini and Virgo in my chart. So yeah, eccentricity, exactly. That's what I mean. You're an Aries, but then you see the Virgo moon with your organized house. It's the opposite with me. I'm a Virgo, but my place is often a disheveled mess because my Aquarius brain is in Deep Space Nine or outer space all the time. Like, oh, what does this mean? What does this thing about the universe mean? That's what I'm thinking about, not organizing things. Because it just doesn't translate to me. It's just like, who cares? As long as it's not dirty, I don't care about clutter. Yeah, Cynthia, well, yours is complementary. I remember when I did your chart, because you have two feminine, well, Scorpio is more of a masculine water sign. I don't agree with astrologers who say all water is feminine, all earth is feminine. The only thing I agree with is that all fire is masculine, but I don't think all earth or water is necessarily feminine. I think certain signs are feminine and masculine. Same thing with the air signs. But yeah, you have Pisces and Scorpio, Sun, Moon, which is, that's complementary because they're both water signs, so they go well together. But when people have very, very different ones, like if somebody is a Sagittarius sun, but they have a Cancer moon, that's going to be like really, really different personality. Like people did not expect them to act different when they get to know them. So anyways, that's a description of the sun and moon. If you want to order something, a reading that has an astrology chart in it, you can. If you want to get an astrology chart of your own, you can. I do those. And that's it, I guess. I mean, I did the Meghan and the Selena, well, the Doria, because it was really more about her mother. Doria and the Selena reading earlier. You can rewind this because I'm going to have it up and watch, you can scroll back and watch the beginning part. And that's it, guys. And one more book I'd recommend is Goddesses in Every Woman. It's about archetypes of goddesses within every woman. I think I mentioned it on my archetype video, but it's another book I'd like to mention in addition to Astrology for the Soul, which is a good book too, if you want recommendations. I hope you guys have a good night. My readings, as always, are entertainment only. If you believe it, that's great. It's intuition. It's what you feel, but it is not fact. And anything I said about allegations of people and what they've done, that's all alleged. It's not fact either. All right. Thank you. And I will talk to you guys later. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.